Okay, so let's get this party started. We got Rebeca Andelin coming on here in just a second, talking about how to stick to your resolutions. Oh my gosh, if there is any time to be talking about this, it is right now. And whether you're watching this live or replay, there's never a better time to say, this is who I am, this is what I'm committed to, and getting the support, the accountability, the follow through, and the step-by-step help to be able to achieve that vision. So definitely stay tuned. It's going to be a powerful interview. Before that, you are becoming your greatest possible self simply by showing up here, by listening to this show. I acknowledge you for showing up. And whatever other aspects of life that you're growing in, whatever habits that you're doing, practices to grow yourself, keep showing up. Stay plugged into the sources of empowerment that you are accessing, whether it's podcasting, YouTube, live one-on-one coaching, group coaching, live events, whatever it might be for you. Keep accessing that to keep growing, okay? Thank you so much for being here. And we're going to be moving on to the iTunes review of the week. This week, it's by Pete and Merritt, who says, awesome, fantastic content from experts about what it really takes to live a full, passionate, and purpose-driven life. Thank you, Chris, for all this fabulous work. Pete and Merritt, thank you so much for that review. And if you would like to get a chance to get shouted out on a future 12-hour live stream, go to beergps.com/iTunes or search Greatest Possible Self on the Apple Podcast Store and give us a review there. Let us know what you love, what you want to see more of, and how we can improve the show for you. That helps. I love to hear what is working and what we can do even better, because I always love to make things even better as we become our greatest possible selves together. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to introduce Rebeca in just a second here. Before that, grab a piece of paper, grab a pen, be ready to take notes. This is going to be some deep stuff that you can take action on right away to supercharge your year, your 2020. New year, new decade, best year ever. Rebeca Andelin is a former water polo athlete turned CrossFit coach and yoga instructor. She's transformed her years of athletic training, coaching, yoga, and mental health into an online program designed to empower women through athletics. She believes that by continuing to cultivate athletic tools through ongoing athletic training, women can embrace the power to be their greatest possible selves. Rebeca also is a cat mom, is an aunt to 14 nieces, that is a lot, and nephews, 14 nieces and nephews, is a self-proclaimed food enthusiast, and identifies as an outdoor adventurer. In 2019, Rebeca ventured to take a week-long solo hiking trip through southern Utah, including Zion National Park. But that is just the tip of the iceberg with this woman. I want to get some thumbs up. I want to get some hearts out there in the audience. Let me know what you're most excited about for this interview, talking about setting powerful New Year's resolutions. Let us know. And Rebeca, are you ready to rock the house, Superwoman? She is ready. You are now live on Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to dive right in, Becky, to the theme of today, which is 2020, new year, a new decade. What does that mean to you?
It's just a fresh start. I actually really love this time of year. I know in the fitness world, everyone's like, oh, well, the gym's going to be full of people and it's going to be packed in the park. I love it. I love the energy that comes around. It never is like daunting. I love the new, fresh energy of just starting new and reconnecting with yourself. I mean, that's always good to do, but the time of year, it just has like a different energy to it right now that I absolutely love. So it's a great time to reflect, review, and set intentions moving forward. So that's what it means to me.
You know, what you focus on, you become, right? So I really love that you're saying, I love this time of year. When other people say, oh, again, like there's negative things, right? Negative things in their thought patterns, in their emotions, whatever else, like stories about other people who are doing things the wrong way. There's like shame and there's guilt, like, oh, these people go into the gym and they don't finish their resolutions. Like, okay, you can continue to perpetuate that story, or you can say, hey, it's super great that people are striving to be a better version for themselves. Like, how awesome is it that everyone at this time of the year says, you know what, I want to do better this year than last year. I think it's an amazing time, a fertile ground, so to speak, where we can choose to do new things, to integrate new habits, healthy wise, physical fitness wise, mental wise, emotional wise, all the beautiful things. So I am totally aligned with you, Becky. This is awesome. And I want to hear in your own words, what is Alpha Goddess aesthetics, athletics and athletics, and tell us a little bit more about how you serve your clients today.
So to me, Alpha Goddess just kind of embodies a strong female empowerment movement.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things in the fitness culture that I feel like are kind of starting to steer that way, that are steering less away or less focus on diet or the way you look and more into like embracing who you are.
Yeah.
So in the past, for me, my athletic experience was really more about that than about wins, losses, looking a certain way, losing weight. The athletic experience to me was self-revealing about who I am, and it's those lessons that I've taken into my adulthood and into the rest of my life that, you know, I know these things about myself. I can be a leader. I'm hardworking. I like to grind. I am very routine. That whole process was self-revealing, and that's what's lasting and impactful. So it's not weight loss that's changed my life. It's not changing my diet that's changed my life. It's more realizing things about myself. And to me, that's what the Alpha Goddess process is really about. It's using athletics as a tool to understand yourself and to step into that even more. That every woman can be strong, can be powerful, can be a leader, can be a follower, we can be contributors. We just need to be stronger versions of ourselves, and that's going to uplift everyone around us. Women have such a power to connect with others, to build community, and if we're not in our strongest place or we're not being our greatest possible selves, then other people around us don't have that opportunity to be built up. So if we are stronger, we're going to build up all the communities that we're a part of, and that's what it's all about to me. Like, I want to fortify each individual woman so that wherever they are, whoever they come in contact with, they're building up and bringing up people around them. And then together as women, we're bringing up each other as well.
You're just hitting home runs here, Rebeca. Hitting home runs. This is gold. I love it. I really like your conviction, your power, and how you share that. I just hear you're really grounded in your own experience and your own life journey, and that is so important. So thank you for sharing that, and your stand for women, to build up other women, to recognize, their self-discover themselves, who they are, what they're capable of. Because I think athletics and fitness is such a great time to push the boundaries of who we think we are. It's like, who am I really? Well, can I go do this, tough mudder? Not everyone wants to do a tough mudder, I get it, but can I go do this obstacle course? Can I go, run for a mile? For some people,
right,
that might be pushing the limits for you, or swim for a mile, or walk for a mile, or whatever it is. There's no wrong place to start or to challenge ourselves, but it's simply to challenge ourselves and to start and to embark on that journey. So I love what you're sharing so far. We're going to dive more into that, but first we're going to go back into your journey. Rebeca, tell us about how you got into athletics. Like, when did it all start for you?
Well, it really started in high school, but it kind of started a little bit before that. My dad is a water polo and swim athlete and played or swam in college. And he was always trying to get us to join a swim team or to join water polo. When I was younger, I have a brother that's just a year and a half older than me, and we did a lot of stuff together. We're almost kind of like twins. I joke about that sometimes. But we did so much together. And he started playing water polo because there was an age group team, and it was him and all of his friends. And I think I was about 8 when I first went to that water polo experience, and it was all guys. We were doing push-ups and getting in and out of the pool. I'm wearing a bathing suit around my brother and all of his gross friends. And so I was like, no, I'm not going to play water polo. That was a miserable experience. Everyone who plays water polo kind of dies on their first day a little bit. Like, you kind of just get worked so hard. You feel like you're going to drown. So I was totally turned off. But because my dad swam, my sister swam, my brothers played water polo and swim, by the time I got to high school, my dad he sees it differently, but he made me try out. And so I went to that first week of tryouts, and I think it helped that I started high school in a place where I didn't really have a lot of friends. My friends had gone to the other high school in my town. So in my high school, I was kind of like, well, I don't really know a lot of people. So sports was really a way that I feel like it assimilated me into the high school experience. And that first week of almost dying at water polo, I was hooked after that. After that, I was like, this is my jam. You get to fight with people in the water. You're working hard. And it was just all the things that I had, like built-in friends. I had built-in activities on the weekends. It was a great experience. So that's my initial experience into sports and athletics. And it just grew and built over the next 7 or 8 years that I continued on playing all 4 years. I ended up being team captain my senior year. I moved on to junior college and played 2 years at junior college. And so it just kind of went from there.
I love it. I love it. That's so cool that your dad was really strongly encouraging you in this path, because I think it's important that our parents like help us to try and practice different things, because we can't find out what we're good at unless we go practice and kind of mess up. And even if we don't like it, to kind of push us into a little bit of an uncomfortable zone to try it out. And I love how you said after that first week, you just fell in love with it. I think that's really important to get over that initial, this is new, I don't like it. But then you keep doing it and you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. It's like everything I ever wanted. I get fit, I get to fight people, I get to surround myself with other people, make friends, and like have activities and things to do. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, and I think that my high school didn't have a girls water polo team before that. So it was only their second year having a girls team. And so I think the first time I tried it was all boys, and I didn't see anyone else there that was reflected, that looked like me, that I could like bond to. It was like brother and his friends. And so I think having like the female experience as well was like really impactful to me, because it was totally different the second time around. The first time I didn't like it. Second time I was older and in a different place, needed different things. And I feel like the female community really just sucked me in, and it was a whole different experience of things that I needed.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So there was sisterhood, so to speak, in that water polo team.
Totally.
I know on sports teams there's like really strong bonds that can be formed, especially when you go 4 years with like a team of girls who like keep showing up, and you build those really strong relationships.
Yeah, and we all played high school team. There was no other club team, so we all formed a club together. So it was our high school team that went from the same water polo season into our swim team, into water polo, all throughout. So we were like formed together all 4 years of high school, constantly, every summers, season. Winters. Every season we were together. And it's funny that you even say that, because it does build stronger bonds, I feel like, than I would with anyone else in other settings. Even now, I reconnected with one of my old teammates recently. She moved to my same town. And the first time we hung out, I mean, we were just laughing and crying, like laughing so hard we were crying at all of our old jokes. And I mean, we've been like bonded ever since. And it's like the 20 years in between hasn't passed. We just got together and it was like, remember all these crazy times? And we're like immediate best friends again. So it's a great feeling.
That's so cool. I love it. I love it. So you had this really powerful experience in high school, and as in youth, so to speak, with athletics. What happened from there? How did your athletic journey and eventually becoming a coach, how did that all transpire?
So I call those years after college where I stopped playing sports, I call those the lost years, because I really was lost for a while. And I think a lot of athletes have that experience when the sport ends, and it's kind of like, well, how do I go back to a time where it's just me working out, and it's just for working out, and I'm not connected to the team, I'm not connected to a higher purpose, I don't have like a competition or a team that I'm trying to prepare for. So it was really a period of readjusting. And it took me a long time until I found CrossFit almost 10 years later. I felt like I was just kind of drifting, and I never really had that same athletic experience again. And I missed it, and I was really missing it. So then when I found CrossFit, it was that same like community. You have competitions, you have benchmarks, you have performances that you're trying to increase and improve. So it was a lot more of like the guided, directed focus that my athletic mind and my athletic heart really wanted and needed. You get to have that feeling of like, I'm chasing other people, I'm kind of competing. I also die a little bit every workout. I'm kind of like, there's that like addiction to pain where it's like, I just want to die in the workout today. I hope it's good. So it was a reconnection to all of that sense of hard work, dedication. You could show up every day, you could be diligent, and then you could see the immediate effects of the work that you did. So it wasn't until I got to CrossFit that I was like, I can still be an athlete. This concept of being an athlete doesn't have to go away just because I'm not playing a sport. And once I started doing that and thinking about it that way, I was like, this could be me for the rest of my life. So Yeah. Right. I was
That's
like, wow,
powerful. That's like what a
yeah.
realization to say after I've been lost for so long. Like I didn't know what the vehicle was to create my fulfillment, to create my purpose here on life. But then you go find this avenue of, man, it's been here all along. I just didn't know that it was here. Like all the ahas, all the things that opportunities that open up because of that. Like it must have been transformational.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was a stimulus in a way that I was doing running races and triathlons, and it just wasn't the same for me. That didn't have the
Mm,
same kind of like inertia, that same kind of like push, drive, hard
yeah.
work, passion behind it. It just didn't have that same response for me. So CrossFit was that response that I wanted, needed. Plus, you're surrounded with the community. So I did that for about a year, and I was in the process of changing my career path.
Uh-huh.
I was going I was in medical admin, and
Mhm.
I went back to school to get a teaching credential. And it was
Oh.
during that teaching credential and kind of suffering through that process
So
that CrossFit was my anchor. CrossFit was a really strong anchor. And I thought, I really want more of this to help boost me up through a time that was really hard.
yeah.
And so I took my level 1. I started coaching,
Mhm.
and it was like a great opportunity to look at my life like side by side. Like here is me as a teacher and what I think, what I feel, what I'm like at the end of the day. And here is me as a coach, what I think, what I feel, and what I'm like at the end of the
Boom.
day. And I thought, in 30 years, which one of these people do I want to be? Well, this is the priority. I want to be the athlete, the coach. I want to be able to move, to function, to feel my best possible self,
Yeah.
and feel like I'm being built up by my career, rather than something that's depleting, that takes all my energy outside of work to recover from. So that's how I ended up like dumping whatever I was doing and going, I'm going to be a coach because this is my jam. This is where I need to be. So
I love it.
now I'm
So
here.
you got certified in coaching and teaching CrossFit. How did your journey evolve from there? Like what did you start to learn about yourself? What did you start to learn about your coaching style?
The lessons about myself are endless. They just every day is another lesson of like, okay, that didn't go well, or anything like that. I learn stuff about me all the time. Some of the things I've learned about me as a coach is that in the beginning, I think a lot about things. If I'm not comfortable in my gym or in the setting, or if it's something new, I'm processing a lot, and I'm kind of a slow processor. So I know in the beginning, it was like, I feel like I have no personality. I feel like it's really hard to just be myself. Now I know it takes me like 10 sessions before I feel like I am authentically myself and a coach at the same time.
Wow.
Once I'm in a groove, then that part of me comes out a lot more naturally, but it
Yeah.
takes me some time. And that's something really important to know, that I'm not a bad coach because I'm overthinking things. It just takes me some time to like settle into a new role or to a new gym or with a new client. So yeah, that's just one tidbit of information I've learned about myself.
That's so awesome. I think, the just being able to look at that, but also to communicate it with people like, hey, like I'm a lot of fun once you get to know me. It might be a little, like I get to grow into my space, so to speak, with people in classes, wherever I'm at. I think it's important. Self-awareness, like know thyself, is so key, so I love that you shared that. And I think a lot of people who are showing up here today, who are listening or watching, they want to know, how do they know themselves to know what they want? How do they know themselves to set an intention, a resolution, so that they can actually achieve it? So like when you're working with people, where would you start in that process? Like how can they set a powerful resolution?
So it's like exactly what you said, where you want to be tapped into what's really important to you and use that as your compass before setting a goal. So a common thing that, at this time of year, you think you want to set a weight loss goal, right? That's a very common goal that people like to set.
Yeah.
For me, though, I've learned, and I've been on that same boat where it's like, this year I'm going to lose this amount of weight by this amount of time. I start down that path and I never want to finish that path. Like I just don't have because it's not in line with my core values. So once I've like understood what my core values are, and I understand that weight loss doesn't really fit into that. So I'm not going to go down that path for a long time, because it just doesn't align with what makes the most sense to me. So being able to understand myself is the first step. I utilize some tools like setting core values as a way to help people identify with their internal compass first before setting a goal. So is this a time where you want me to like go through my
let's dive in. Let's dive in.
Okay. So actually my first thing that I like to start people with is what I call the 5-year-old method. And if you've been around a 5-year-old for any amount of time, you know that they ask like a bazillion questions.
With your what is it, 14 nieces and nephews?
14 nieces and nephews. I do a lot of babysitting. And I have a nephew right now that my sister-in-law was like, can you just babysit him and just answer his questions? Like he just needs that attention to like answer questions. 5-year-olds are just at that phase where like they ask a gazillion questions. And if you've been around one long enough, they'll ask a question like, why is the sky blue? And then they'll ask why. Like your answer's never good enough. They'll just ask why like a bunch of times. And all of a sudden you're talking about like a deep meaning of life. And it's like, well, the question was simple, but somehow I got into like a really deep philosophical conversation with a 5-year-old. So that's the first process where I would state something you want to do, whether it's weight loss or a performance goal or something in work. Here's my goal. I want to lose weight, change my diet, hydrate more. Whatever that is, you start with that simple statement and then you ask yourself why. And then you give another answer and then you ask yourself why again, and you give yourself another answer and you keep going, asking why over and over and over to every answer that you give yourself. And it's a good way it's a good thing to do like in your journal, like write it down, then write why, then write down the next answer and write why. Eventually you get to a point where you hit on something deep where you go, oh, that makes so much sense why I want that. Or you'll get to a point where like, oh, that's more important to me than where I started. Or sometimes what happens is you get to a point where you kind of circle around the same 2 or 3 answers. And that's a point where you might say, I need to think about like, I'm going to set this aside, let my subconscious kind of ring with it a little bit and come back to it the next day and restart again with the same statement and go through your answers. I heard something recently, and I don't know where I heard this from, but that there's 7 layers to a deeper purpose, deeper why. I think that there's probably more than that, but I would say at least asking yourself like 7 to 10 whys should get you to somewhere where you're like, and if not, if you end up circling the same few answers for a couple of rounds, that's a time to go, you know what, there's maybe something blocking or something that I need to think about and let it like percolate a little deeper before I come back and try this again. So that's step number 1.
I love that's so freaking powerful. It's like so simple, and going back to that childlike curiosity, right? Like to really be so curious and engage with something rather than just going through the motions, rather than saying, oh, I'm supposed to because, people tell me I'm supposed to, or because, I think I'm supposed to. It's like a lot of people don't take ownership that is their purpose, that is their why, that is their goal. And I think when we keep asking that why, we get to the source of our power to say, that's why I'm going to wake up at 4 a.m. That's why I'm going to stay up late and, go to work because I want to provide a great lifestyle for my kids or whatever it might be. Like when we know why we do things, then it'll allow us to overcome any obstacle that comes up in the face of our pursuit of that goal.
Yeah. And it allows you to set up parameters that are going to help you to be successful towards that because you understand what really motivates you. Wow. Like one of my personal things is that one of my core values are connection, passion, and strength. So those 3 things are in a community. So if I'm like working out by myself, I'm not connecting. I don't feel very passionate. I may feel strong, but like I'm missing an important core value for me where there's that connection and passion that I get to share with other people. So I know that working out in a group is highly more effective for me than working out alone. And if I'm going through a period of time working out by myself, I know that I kind of have to dig a little bit deeper and it's going to be harder and I'm going to be more understanding for myself. And I like what you said about curiosity because it's not a judgment on yourself. It's just being curious about what comes up like, oh, I'm like that. That's what I prefer. There's no judgment. There's no right or wrong. It's no good or bad. It's just that childlike wonder of like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. I see that,
I love it. I love your core values: connection, passion, and strength. Those are good. I like it. I like it.
Those are 3 of my 6.
What are the other 3?
Reliability. Let me think. I gotta like think of them in order. So passion, strength, connection, reliability. I have my little sign at my desk and I'm not there. Those are the 4 I can remember. They're going to come to me in like a minute or 2.
I love it. Just let us know. Let us know when they pop in. It's so cool though. I love the connection, passion, and strength. I think, for me, those like just lit up, like, yes, like I get that in you, Rebecca, like that's who you are. Cause I feel very connected with you. I feel like you care about like the message being delivered and someone receiving that message as well. Which is, connected to the why, right? If you're really connected to your vision, your purpose, then usually you're able to be connected with other people because you're like, I know who I am. I know it's important to me. I know why I'm here. And I'm going to share this with anyone who's open and willing to learn. Of course, like we're so open here at Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self. We want that passion. We want that to come alive. We want to be strong in the pursuit of our goals. So I love the 3 that I've heard. I love reliability as well. I think a lot of people have a challenge with being consistent, in the journey that you've had with sports. What a powerful, muscle to develop, the reliability muscle, because yourself, hey, when I got to show up at practice, when I got to do the reps, when I got to put in the work to get the results, to get to the championship, to get to the victory, like I'm reliable. And that is an important part for me and to see in the people around me as well.
Right. And especially as a piece of a team, I know that reliability factor is important for keeping a team, because that may not be everyone's like strength or value. Right. But it's good to have like people that can push that train forward. Yeah. And other people can kind of follow along in that. Yeah. The other thing about understanding myself is that I know if I say yes to something, my drive for reliability is going to push me to show up. And I have the tendency to say yes to a lot of things without thinking and processing if like that fits in, if I have the energy to do that. Yeah. So I'm really working on, one of the things I'm personally working on is saying, let me think about that before I say yes to something. Because if I say yes, I will die on the hill to get myself to do that thing. So I have to be very cautious about how much I say yes to.
Wow. Well, I think it sounds like you have also explored your boundaries a lot, and you're at the phase of like, I've said yes a lot of times to take on all kinds of different things. I think I'm at the phase where I have wisdom now. I have life experience to say, okay, I don't need to say yes to everything anymore. Like I'm past that phase. I've grown through that phase, and now it's time to say yes to the things that I have gained experience about and know what fits into my core values, what makes sense for my life, my direction, my mission, where I want to be going. And I think a lot of people struggle with that who have not done a ton of self-reflection.
Yeah. Oh, and that's one of my other core values is balance. Balance is a big piece of what drives and motivates me. I don't really like to live at extremes. I like to kind of like live at a moderate. I can work, 6-7 days a week, as long as it's like a moderate pace. Yeah. I don't want to be like, hair on fire, pedal to the metal for 5 days or even like 3 months and then take time off. I'd rather just cruise. I like to have like balance in everything that I do.
I love it. It gives you the variety of life. You're able to experience it versus if you're like, I think there's a time and a place and a season to be laser focused and to go like ham. And then once that's done, like the rest and the recovery, that is such an important part.
Yeah. Do you have core values? Have you written out any, or do you? Yeah, you do.
Yeah. So I feel
like it's just, go ahead.
I was going to say, I have 3 that like consistently come up for me. It is love, it is growth, and it is play. And play used to be fun, but I had a hypnosis session a while back, and she said, like fun is great, but your word is play. And I remember all the times I pressed like the play button, the start button on a PlayStation controller. It was like the play button, and just play every day. Like I grew up being subconsciously programmed for play. So
yeah, of course,
it's play, and I love having fun. I love just my heart is so big, and to be able to express that and connect with people with my heart, with love, I think is a big part. And then growth, like becoming your greatest possible self. Like if I'm not growing, there's something that is not working. I have to be connected into something that's meaningful with other people. I get to be having fun, and I get to be growing towards a meaningful purpose or aim or vision.
Right. Yeah. And exactly. I think that those core values that's another process that I go through with people about, getting clear on what your core values are, because once you make it kind of, I can use those core values and look back at my life, and like teaching is one of those things. When I looked at like coaching and teaching, and why I picked coaching, well, coaching has a lot more alignment with my core values more than something like teaching. And it's not that I didn't like teaching or that I wasn't good at it. It just, that form of work was just not as in alignment with my values as something like coaching.
Yeah, well, I
So
think I think in teaching, oftentimes it's very one way, at least the traditional education model, versus what you love is being on a team and not necessarily. I don't need to be better than you. I might have more experience, but I'm no better than you. And together we achieve this goal. And I think coaching
absolutely.
is more of that mindset of like, hey, I have a couple more distinctions than you, but you have your own superpowers. You have your own things that will, make you flourish, your own core values that I'm just here to help you illuminate so you can be your best
Yes.
self.
Exactly. And I see coaching as just another form of education, just
Yeah.
in a different way, but yeah, exactly, where there's a two-way connection, and it's appreciated in both
Yeah.
ways. And so yeah, that
I
makes
love it.
sense.
I love it. We're just going for it. So we have the what is it? The 5-year-old method, right? We have
Hmm.
that technique to really get connected with the why, with the purpose, with what's the common thread and theme, and then we design our life saying, as long as I'm fulfilling that important aspect to me, then everything's good. Like we have a new filter that is in the highest form of our values and our life and our purpose here to run things through to say, is it a good fit or not? And I think that
Yeah.
that creates so much clarity for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another tool and tactic that I highly and heavily encourage my clients and athletes to use is journaling, because you
Mm-hmm.
have to have some kind of period of reflection to look at those. Now I have like some information from the 5-year-old method, how I've gotten to like a deeper layer and
Yep.
what's your why and purpose. If you set your core values, then you're able to look at your life and kind of evaluate, like the teaching situation where I'm like, oh, okay, I'm able to be curious and understand more about myself through applying my core values and my deeper why and purpose.
Yeah.
If I look at like past situations or I reflect day to day, and then I'm able to make better decisions moving forward. So once you kind of like put some of those pieces together, that's when you can then set a goal
Mhm.
and write out an effective goal statement, is what I call it. Because it's one thing to say, I want to lose weight. That could be a goal.
Mm.
But if you're able to put some parameters to that,
That
or even
hurts.
saying
That
like,
hurts me. That hurts me.
right?
That is not a goal. I mean,
No.
some people, hey, if you're a beginner, that is a goal.
Right. And so that, yeah, then there's different kinds of goals. Like I want to be able to feel comfortable in the gym. That could
Yeah.
be a goal. It
Yeah.
could be an end result. It could be a piece of the puzzle, but that in itself is not like the goal. That's
Right.
not what's going to effectively move you in that direction. So
Right.
that's why I say an effective goal statement where it has some parameters in it. And when you phrase it in like the right way, it's going to elicit motivation from you in order to create the end result.
I love it.
So you've probably heard of SMART goals.
Uh-huh.
There's the S. Yeah. My process, I didn't know of those, and I kind of like made my own process. It has some of the same things.
Uh-huh.
So I have like a workbook that I usually take people through, as far as like how to set a goal, effective goal statement with like sentence starters and examples, and a checklist of how to know that it's an effective goal statement. But it's similar to like a SMART goal where there's measurable parts, there's an end date, you're connected to your purpose and your why. So yeah, I take people through like setting that
That's awesome.
effective goal statement. And then once you have that down, then you can create the plan and the steps to get there. If you set a goal for 3 months from now, well, where do you want to be next week, 2 weeks from now, at the end of the month, and all through there? So you can kind of give yourself a general game plan.
Yeah.
So that would be like another piece of setting like a resolution or a goal that's going to be effective.
Yeah. Well,
You want to know like what are those
I think
parameters?
what's really important for people, they might have this aspiration of earning $1 million, or releasing 40 pounds of weight back to the universe, or finding or attracting the man or the woman of their dreams, whatever it might be. That's a like big intimidating thing for a lot of people if they are at the point of, getting rejected, or, eating all this food that they shouldn't be eating, or, like being in trouble with debt or whatever it might be, right? Like whatever people are going through, it might be such a big leap that their subconscious mind is like, no way,
Yeah,
no
exactly.
way, And I think a lot of us have experienced that. I know I have with goal setting, that I said, I'm going to achieve everything. I'm going to, shoot for the moon. If I miss, I'll land among the stars. Well, long story short, my subconscious mind is like, dude, there's no freaking way. Like, just stay home, go back to the bed and just sleep the day away. And that was a really, really difficult time for me, because I didn't know how to set effective goals, which you're talking about, Rebecca, which is, I think, so important for people to understand. And also what you said about breaking it into bite-sized steps. Just the act of saying, okay, that's the goal. What do I think needs to happen in the next week, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 6 months, whatever, 12 months, to be able to get there? What do I think are the milestones? And that gets like your creativity going. That gets the belief level, just putting effort towards, I wonder what it would be. I'm curious, what would those action steps be? Says to your subconscious mind, well, it's important enough for me to think about it, to try to figure this out. So I'm going to start to go to work for Rebecca to figure out these steps and these milestones, or I'm going to try to align things so that Chris actually succeeds at this goal when you put that energy in. Of course, there's going to be blocks and stuff and limiting beliefs, doubt, all that stuff is going to come up when achieving something you've never achieved before. But the act of investing our time and energy and journaling and things like that is so important.
100%. And that's part of the process is like keeping that curiosity, like you said, throughout the whole process. Because if you're training for a certain competition and you have little competitions, like pre-competitions to get you prepared for that, that's an opportunity for you to go, well, this didn't go well. And it's not because I'm a terrible person. And it's not because, but it gives you some feedback where you can go, well, let me make some tweaks and adjustments. Let me figure out why. Maybe it didn't align with my core values as much as I thought. Maybe I didn't really get as deep on my purpose as I needed. Maybe I didn't plan out the steps appropriately, or there was some unforeseen thing that got in the way that I just have to be compassionate to myself for dealing with. We have a lot of upsets in life, and that's part of the process, is taking those things in stride without self-judgment, without like beating yourself up along the way. And I think that journaling and that reflection after those events is extremely helpful to bring about personal understanding. So where you're not judgmental of yourself, but you're just able to go, you know what, I'm dealing with that. I'm processing it. Or maybe I'm not processing it, but at least I know and I'm okay with wherever I'm at right now. That's the most important part, because once you start to pick apart things you've done and start to place that judgment on yourself, that's when you kind of deteriorate and give up and like let go of that.
Well, what I think of in the sports world, an analogy is like, am I sitting in the bleachers and on the sidelines, or am I actually on the field playing and giving effort and taking action? I think there's also the halftime, and when you go into the locker room and you get to actually work on your life, so to speak, the big picture vision, and say, hey, what was our strategy coming here today? What did we want to achieve? And that break, that chance for rest and kind of regrouping is important. But the aspect of, hey, am I just commentating on what I think life is supposed to be like and what I'm supposed to be doing? Or am I actually taking action and trying to figure this out and, scraping up my knees, stumbling, fumbling, whatever it might be, but still out on the field moving towards my goal?
Yeah. And along with that metaphor, which I love metaphors, like even being an athlete, sometimes you're off the field being injured, and that's an okay part of the process. And there's plenty of athletes who go through that injury recovery process in order to make it back on the field, and they do. And I think that that's a really important part. And that's actually for me where like my mental health has come into play, because there are times where I need to say, you know what, it's going to be okay that I take some time off or that I skip today. And I have to be okay with that if I want to continue to move forward and make it back there another day. Because that to me is what it's about. It's not just about today in this moment. It's about the long-term process of returning, continuing to return, continuing to start again, continuing to try again and learn something new. Because every step along the way, even if I fail, even if I give up, even if I really stumble and fall flat on my face, I'm still learning something about myself, about life, about the process. that I can then take into the next time I try. So like you were saying at the beginning, that this New Year's time, some people can be kind of deterred to like look at the negatives, like, oh, people just like start and stop. But even that like start at the beginning of the year is still an exciting, hopeful time, that even if you do get to a point in your resolution by Valentine's Day and you're like, nope, I totally gave up, there's something for you to learn in that process of like start and stop. There's still lessons that you apply. Eventually, by learning over and over, you're going to get to a point where you're not start and stop anymore. It's more of just ups and downs.
Yeah. It doesn't like, you might get knocked down, but you don't stay down as long. It's like you're right back up versus getting sidelined for weeks or even months in the past. And I love what you said as well, for, let's say, people who are quote unquote injured on the sidelines, or even people who have physical injuries or things that have prevented them, losses, disaster, whatever, trauma, things that have taken you out of the game up until now, but you're hearing this message and you're like, man, I know I should be walking or something every day. I know I should be, should be, probably not the best word, but I know in my highest and best good, it would be important. It would be a powerful move forward to get back into walking, even if there are difficulties, even if it is painful, even if it is stressful, even if it is difficult and I'm not good at it, but I know it's in my highest and best good. Like, let's just get back on the field. Like, even if I've been taking myself out for a year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, it's never too late to get back into the game.
100%. And I agree. And then it's that process of like starting and stopping. I feel like that people don't even understand, like, it's really valuable to go through that start and stop process. I know I've started there, and it's been really, it's like a skill. It's like flexing a muscle that you learn how to start again, because nothing that you do is going to last forever. Even if you start weightlifting, there may be a time in a season where you take time off, or you switch gears and work on something else. And maybe I'm going to swim for a couple of months. Everything starts and stops. And that chance of giving yourself, or the opportunity of giving yourself another chance to start again, is just building that muscle of starting again. And it will always be used. It's never wasted time or wasted effort. It's building into something.
Yeah, I think a great example of this is I only did weightlifting my senior year of high school, because I joined football my senior year. And then I did CrossFit like for a month. I got a group on. I only did it for a month, but doing CrossFit like really helped me improve my form, because I was way more conscious of it, and I cared more at that point than I did in high school. So it's like, I only did it for a month, but like doing it helped me to become more aware of my own mechanisms and my body mechanics and stuff. It was really cool.
Yeah. And that's always positive to have that understanding and awareness of your body.
Yeah. So this is great. I love it. So resolutions. When people go to set a resolution, they need to be connected to their why. They need to have a specific, effective goal. Becky, is there anything else that's like really important that they have to help them succeed?
I think it's what we were just saying, that mechanism of like starting again and evaluating, because it's really important as you are moving towards your goal. There's always going to need to be an adjustment or a lesson to be learned or some kind of tweak. And it's important to be non-judgmental with yourself in order to make those adjustments down the road. If you start to set a goal or a resolution about eating a certain way, and then you start to go into a mentally unhealthy place because of that, you need to be able to get yourself out, or to redirect and go, you know what, that didn't serve me. I'm going to move in another direction. So I think that process of self-evaluation, journaling, ongoing assessment, ongoing pulling of knowledge out of the experiences is going to be really important to tweak and to make adjustments along the way.
Beautiful. I love it. I think that's important is when you're on the road, so to speak, are you checking into your GPS and your compass and your map to make sure that things are working well?
Yeah,
that's good. Good stuff. So in terms of like achieving a goal, is there anything else that you feel is important for people to crush their New Year's resolutions this year? Like, we have the connection to the why, we have a specific effective goal, we're reflecting and getting like connected with, hey, is this getting me closer to where I want to go? Is it not? Reflection. Is there anything else that you've seen really helps people achieve those goals they set out to?
I think having a community, and it's
Mm-hmm.
not, I don't really like the word accountability,
No.
because it's not up to anyone else to keep you on track. Once you're clocked into
Wow.
your internal compass, you're going to keep yourself on track. There doesn't need to be like a reward at the end. The reward is how you feel, because that's what's going to be the most motivating.
Yeah.
But the community, or what I call like a team, in CrossFit, it's like the community. It could be a group of friends. It could be people at the gym that you go to. It could be people at your work that are all working on this together. Whatever it is, I think that tap into something that's bigger than yourself brings more purpose, more energy, more motivation to what it is that you're doing. I think that that's really important. Like once you've got everything set up, find a group of people who are working on the same thing, because then your success is going to be other people's success. Your when you do get knocked down, those people kind of help keep things in perspective. So whether it's an online Facebook group or a community at your gym, I would hook into a community. I think that's like the icing on the cake, the cherry on the top that just makes your progress towards your goals that much bigger and better.
I love it. I've found when you share those goals of what you aspire to do and achieve in a community that's supportive, that believes in you, you just feel so freaking empowered when you do that.
Yep.
And then when you are making progress towards it, they're there cheering you on, saying, hey, good job with your win this week. Or if you missed your target, hey, what did you learn? It's okay. Get back up, get back in the ring. And that encouragement is so important, especially when we can feel so isolated, when we can be so self-critical. To have a team, to have a community is freaking essential.
Yeah, I agree. And even those times where someone else may say, hey, I look to you and you inspire me, you're like, well, hot dang, that's just like the icing on the cake. That's like that high of an extrinsic motivator.
Yeah.
You don't want to ride that only. You want to be connected to your intrinsic motivation. But those extrinsic motivators are such a powerful high that it's like turning on the NOS and like boosting.
The NOS, I love it.
I like metaphors. So cars are one of my favorite metaphors too.
I love it, Rebecca. This is good. This is really, really good. So with people setting out and attempting these New Year's resolutions, how are you able to support them in achieving these resolutions more effectively? You mentioned a handout that you have for people when they work with you. Tell us a little bit more about what are the types of people that work with you? What are the kinds of results that they get? Like, what is that like?
So I have my online program that's starting this year. Okay. And it's basically like the first couple of weeks are going over step by step, getting all of the things set up for setting your goal. So all the things that we've talked about, getting your journal, and really kind of aligning with yourself before setting your goal, and then taking things through the process of writing your effective goal statement. What does that look like? Sentence starters. So, and then I have the Facebook group. So it'll all be on Facebook in a group. So you have that community built in already. Then you're going to have a step-by-step process. We'll like tie in the journaling, tie in the reflection. So you get a chance to kind of go through that whole process with guidance and with support from a group. Then moving on from there, I tackle meal plan and meal prep, and then athletic training and what to me athletic training entails. And the reason why athletic training is the end is because that's the easy part for a lot of people. Like, I want to lose weight, or I want to get better. I want to be more fit. I'm going to go join the gym. And that's how, like, eventually down the road, you stop going, or it's too much money, or XYZ. And you never actually get to tap into the goal setting and the nutrition aspect of it. So that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to front load with the harder parts, dig into those and clear those out of the way. But the important thing is that it's like what you said, where the individual person is finding out all these things about themselves. I'm just the guide to reveal these things, or reveal tools about how to figure these things out. But the process is really like an internal process for the person. But you don't have to do it alone. Just because it's like you are becoming the expert of yourself, you're not doing it by yourself. You have a group, you have support. There's tools that I'll take you through in order to do that.
Wow. That's awesome. So who's the perfect person who would sign up for something like this? Do they have athletic experience? Are they competitive? Are they a complete newbie? Like, what's your perfect person?
So I would say an ex-athlete like me. someone who's maybe gone through that process of being an athlete already.
Mm-hmm.
That would be like, quote unquote, my ideal client, as my business coach calls it.
Mm-hmm.
And, but like my mom is one of my most avid members and she's never played sports before ever, but she started, like you said, like maybe just running around the building is hard for her. That's where she started when she first started. Like she could only walk around the building. Now she runs 2 miles and she swims a mile, and you know, she has all these now like performance things in her 60s that she was never been able to do before. So I wouldn't say that it's only exclusively for ex-athletes, but that's primarily who it's targeted to. But other people that are just looking to move forward, or if you've done the start-stop thing and you're ready for something that's going to be a little bit more long-term and impactful, a little bit deeper and more meaningful, those are the people that I want to draw to me.
So is it also people who are, let's say they've had desires to do better, to achieve bigger goals, to be more successful, to, you know, do these things, but they don't know how to like translate those desires. It's kind of like fuzzy. They feel like they're spinning their wheels. Like you said, they're starting, stopping things, and they don't have that traction to get momentum, to feel like, man, I've achieved goals. I've achieved goals. I've achieved goals. I've achieved goals. They're not saying that. They're saying, why am I not achieving my goals? Like, what is missing? What is not here that I'm not doing to help me reach my destination?
Totally. I call it the diet and exercise roller coaster, where people have gone like up and down on that roller coaster. And you've just done that so many times where it's like, I'm going to start this program and then it doesn't work out, or I'm going to start this program and it doesn't work out. Yeah. Once you've done that a series of times, you're just frustrated. And then everything seems like not real. Everything in the diet and fitness culture may seem like it's a lie or a gimmick. Those are the people that I'm ready to work with. They're going to be ready for something that's deeper, more meaningful, and more purposeful. And it's not like a, you know, join this and you're going to see this fast result. It's not a fast result because it's a process, and it's not like an end result. It's about the journey that you're coming to understand yourself better. And that's going to help you move towards your goals. So yeah, those people who've kind of been burnt out by that roller coaster, those are going to be the people that are ready for this kind of process.
Do you think that they have to have the same core values as you, as the strength, connection, passion? Do they have to have those, or what are the things that they get to be valuing to make their time with you a success?
I think that people who want to understand themselves, or they want to move forward and feel like they can't, I feel like that's going to be the, you know, a lot. Some people are very happy where they are, and aren't really looking to make changes or set goals. And so this program is not really geared towards someone who's happy where they are. This is going to be people who are feeling like they want to move forward, that value that progress, that personal progress. Those are going to be the people that feel the most frustrated by that roller coaster or that start-stop situation, because they want to move forward. They just can't figure out how. So that's where I step in.
I love it. I think I hear progress. I hear they really value winning. They want to win again at their goals. They want to experience that victory and that like, man, I did it. I accomplished it. I achieved it. And just like be able to like love themselves because they're doing the thing that they want to do. They're making progress. So Rebeca, I think we have a really clear idea on who this is for and the benefits for them. It's awesome what you're creating. So let's tell them how they can get it, how they can get involved in the program, how they can connect with you. What are their next steps?
Okay, so I would say joining my Facebook group. I have a Facebook group that's all around that, and I post all the information on there as far as like signing up for programs. My email list, everything gets put into that Facebook group. So the Facebook group is Alpha Goddess Athletes, and it's a free group. Anyone can join. Once you request to join and I add you in, you'll be able to see all the past posts, and I put in my Facebook page, my email address, how to keep in contact with like my Alpha Goddess tribe. I have my website. All of the access to everything you need is going to be on that Facebook group.
Okay, and I have fb.me/Alpha Goddess Athletics. Is that the one?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, cool. Cool. So I'll put that in the comments, and just check the show notes, everyone who's listening or watching, or just search Rebeca Andelin and you'll be able to find her, send her a message, and just search for the Alpha Goddess Athletics or Athletes. You'll be able to find that and join the group. And Rebeca, I want to bring it home with what you want our audience to receive from this interview and take action on going into 2020.
The message I would like to leave is that if you're feeling frustrated in making your progress, the most important thing is to connect to the deeper undercurrents of what motivates you in order to continue to move forward and break past any barriers.
I love it.
One more thing.
Yes, I know there's more. Bring it.
Maybe a little more. And I know in my past, I have found that, everyone has flaws and things they don't really want to look at. And that can really stop people from looking at those deeper undercurrents of themselves. But I noticed that the people that I resonate with the most are the people that are a little rough around the edges. And it's the same with myself, that if I try to hide my flaws from myself, I'm not going to like myself as much as if I can see myself as a whole, including all the things that maybe I don't like about myself. Looking at those things more and seeing it clearly actually promotes more of a like of myself than if I were to hide those things. So if the process of digging deep seems intimidating or uncomfortable, it's a good thing because you'll end up liking yourself more on the other side of the process.
I love it. Rebeca, you're a superstar. Thank you so much for coming on here, sharing with our audience. I love this. The timing is perfect, and just your effective goal setting, the 5-year-old method. I love that. There's just so much you shared in here that was great, and I know our audience loved it too. So everyone who's listening, again, connect with Rebeca. See if this program is a good fit for you. If you're ready, dive in, make it your best year ever in 2020. And Rebeca, thank you so much for being here, and we just so appreciate you and all the gold that you shared today on this brand new January 1st of 2020. Thank you so much for being here.
What a great day. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. We'll see you soon, okay?
All right.